Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Greater Manchester Stories. This episode's amazing guest is a lady from Wigan, Maureen O'Byrne, who one day woke up and decided, I've had enough, and stood to be a local councillor and was successful. So let's get straight into this. First of all, welcome Maureen to the show.
Hiya, good evening.
So let's get into it. So, what made you want to stand as a councillor?
Well, I was always a union rep, so I've always been interested in, sort of getting justice for people, good working conditions. I suppose it is like social justice in a way. But after the Brexit vote, I felt like it was trying to be reversed. There was a lot of people not accepting democracy, so I decided to stand in the general election in Leigh, which was the town that I worked in the 2019 general election as an independent, because the Brexit candidate, I don't know what, they'd got rid of him and got a new one in. And I thought, I'm going to stand just as an independent, which I did. Obviously, I didn't win, but I knew things were changing in Leigh. People were fed up. We're not being listened to, say with the Labour government, with the Labour Council. And they did vote, actually. They voted a Conservative in. I'm not a Conservative, but I quite enjoyed the process. And I was getting a lot of good feedback from people that I stood as an independent Brexit candidate then. But then it was sort of a couple, when was it now? Like 2021. There was a development in Wigan. They were decided to knock down the galleries, which was only a 30-year-old, perfectly good building. I mean, I know shopping habits have changed. But I was in a Zoom meeting then. It was during COVID. And at the Zoom meeting, they mentioned that the contract had gone to BCEGI, which is a Chinese Communist Party owned company.
Right.
And I just happened to mention, I put in to the chat, I had reservations about giving contracts to the Chinese Communist Party because of the government's human rights issues and everything with the Uyghur people, with Hong Kong. I just put a short thing in. A couple of weeks later, I was called in for an interview, and said they'd looked at my social media and they'd seen that I'd been critical of Wigan Labour Council because of this, which I had. It was generally up for discussion on a lot of Facebook groups talking about it. And my issue was it should have gone to either a local or at least a UK firm and not been given out to the Chinese government. So I ended up having a disciplinary in the end because I wouldn't back down. And
So at this point, I take it you're working for Wigan Council.
I was working as a library assistant in Leigh Library, and I'd worked.
I remember this in the press.
Yeah, I loved my job. I really enjoyed it. Um, I was good at my job. I love working with people and I love books, so I was quite happy in my job. But I thought, I'm not backing down on this. I really do feel strongly because of the human rights issues. I've been reading a lot about China and sort of, the politics and how they were having a lot of influence in universities, companies all over the world, really. So I wouldn't back down, and it came in the end to a disciplinary, and then I was dismissed. So I thought, I'm going to stand as I'm going to stand as an independent because I don't like the democratic process in Wigan. I think there's a cabinet that makes all the decisions, and I think more councillors should be able to have a decision. It is obviously majorly the Labour councillors, but we have more independents now. There's just a couple of Conservatives now. And I just thought, I'm going to stand and try and make a difference. So I was going to stand. I was sacked in the August. And I was going to stand the following May. But then I did get very, very seriously ill. I was in a coma for 2 months. But I made a fantastic recovery, but I had to put it back a year. And then I thought, I will stand. I went out and about in the area, meeting people. I put leaflets through every door, I chatted to people. I put on family events, children's events. I really because obviously I wasn't working then, I threw myself into it. And I really had, it seemed to have a good impact because come the general election, I thought I might. There were three candidates up because there'd been boundary changes. There's usually only one candidate up. Well, there were three up. And I thought I might just scrape in. But I actually got in with more votes than any of the other candidates and more than the leader of the council. So it was, it was a really good day. And since then, really, I've been working hard as an independent, trying to give a voice to people. Because I'd say my motto is people, not party. listen to what people are saying, listen to what they want, don't just toe a party line. That's what I feel like the people have voted me in to do my best for them, to work hard for them, and to put I'm a voice for them, I think, because I think they felt ignored for a long time.
Let me ask you about standing as independent. What made you stand as an independent as opposed to joining the Labour Party, Reform, Conservatives? There would have been many parties out there who probably would have snatched your hand off for you to run on their behalf. Why did you choose independent?
I chose independent because I don't really want to have to follow a party whip or follow a view. I think I'm there to represent the people, not to represent the party. I have been asked to stand as a Conservative councillor and a Reform councillor. I don't know about the Labour Party though. To be honest, I am quite old Labour. I'm traditional. I'm all for working rights.
But you're a trade union rep.
I'm from a Labour family. Like my dad was a miner. We were all Labour, but I've seen things change that much, and I don't think Labour are now really for the working people. To be honest, I don't think they're representing them, and I think an independent, especially in a council. Personally, I think councils they shouldn't really be, I think, party political. I think it should be individuals coming together to work for the benefit of the town on local issues. That's what I think a councillor's role should be, but it is all very party political.
I agree, and I've seen it. I worked for Manchester Council for 10 years, and I saw it then. And Manchester is dominated by the Labour Party, their council, so nothing could change there. As you know, I'm standing to be an independent mayor of Greater Manchester. And the reason why I picked independent was because everyone I speak to says to me, Nick, I'm sick of all politicians. I'm sick of all the parties. I'm sick of all of it. And that's when I realised, well, if I was going to stand, I have to stand as independent. So I can say to people, there's no bosses above me. There's no point me making a promise if my bosses can overrule it and overturn it. You have to be independent if you want what you say to happen. And that's why I stood as independent. That's why I am standing.
Yeah, I think it really is the way to go, because in Wigan, I know a couple of areas, Bryn and Atherton and wards, they've got 3 independents in each one of those wards. And there are other odd independents as well. I mean, to be honest, the Conservative votes just fell apart there, but not that they ever had a big vote, but they've only got two councillors now. And I think getting more independents is definitely the only way to get a more democratic local council. Who have to listen to people, put the pressure on you can have a say, because at the moment, a lot of the Labour councillors do just go along with whatever the cabinet really line is. So really, they're not able to represent the constituents because they're just having to follow whatever they're told instead of representing the people who's voted them in. So I definitely think independence is the way to go, hopefully.
Yeah, well, that's the issue with career politicians, is they're always putting their careers ahead of what the people want. And I understand why they do it, because if you want to be a councillor and you want to be selected again to be a councillor next time, you've got to do as you're told. If you want to be an MP, you've got to do as you're told. If you want to get into the cabinet, if you get into government, you've got to do as you're told. And that's why we're in the mess we're in. What we need more conviction politicians, people who say, this is what I want. This is what I want to do if I'm elected, and no apologies. And if you don't like what I'm going to do, don't vote for me. As simple as that. And we need more politicians like that.
You were right, and I think that really did quite surprise me at how many people did vote for me. Obviously, there's still more. The majority of people in the world didn't vote, and that is one of my aims, to try and get more voters out, because I think that is the only way to change things at the ballot box. And getting people who are disillusioned with politics, disillusioned with parties, to come out and vote. And I feel like in that short period of time, I obviously managed it. So I am going to stand against Lisa and Andy in the general election. And I'm just going to follow. Yeah, I'm just going to follow. I mean, I know it might be a very slim chance, but I thought, why not try? I'll be going all next year, all around Wigan, different wards, speaking to people, and I'll be voting for you two in the
Thank you
as
very
an
much.
independent promoting you. Yeah, I think you needed. You were definitely the kind of person like myself who will listen to people and try and say what you're going to do, and they can vote for you if they agree with you, or not vote for you if they don't. But you don't have to change it because some parties or leader is telling you this is not what we're doing this instead.
Yeah. So, as an independent councillor, over this last year or two, what do you think are the main issues in your ward? What are people telling you are their issues?
One of the big ones is antisocial behaviour, and especially housing. There is a housing crisis. There's 14,000 people on the waiting list in Wigan, and there's been big issues with terraced houses being turned into HMOs, because this then is reducing the availability of terraced housing. A lot of people can't afford the new estates that are being built, all around the outskirts. There's no social housing. So that sort of being left, I've had a lot of families at risk of being eviction, no fault evictions. They've been put in hotels, some of them in hostels. It really is reaching crisis point with that. So I'd say housing is a massive issue. Drugs, like I said, antisocial behaviour that is causing a lot of misery for people in the area. It only takes a couple of people with issues in a street to cause a lot of problems.
It does. And what people don't understand about antisocial behaviour, because it seems quite low level when you hear about it, but when it's every day, every hour of every day, over months and months and years, it ruins your quality of life. It wears you down. It turns good areas into poor, failing areas. If you have a couple of families who are just notorious, who are just dysfunctional. So it's not the one act. It's not the one act of them breaking a bottle outside your house or them throwing their rubbish into the back entry. It's not that one issue. It's a million of those little issues all adds up and ruins the quality of life for people.
Yeah, it has. And I have had people really very, very genuinely upset. It might seem a small thing to somebody, but constant noise or constant rubbish thrown in the back, and that is your way of life, is causing a lot of problems for people. I mean, I don't know exactly, like you say, what the solution is, but I do think with social housing, people should be vetted. People have to live somewhere. I understand that, but sometimes I think we do need more halfway houses, more hostels, not necessarily bang in the middle of residential areas, but somewhere where maybe people coming out of prison, people with drug issues can live, but with support on hand as well, and not just being given a council property.
Our big problem for all these social issues is we don't do any prevention or early intervention. We always wait until it's crisis point where it's like, right, we've got these 50 guys being released from jail. We need to put them somewhere. Well, we knew that was going to be a problem 20, 30, 40 years ago. Why haven't we put the projects in place, the developments in place, to treat drug addicts, to make sure they're not being put next to a family? Why are we always putting paedophiles in houses that are near schools? And that's because there's no choice of what we can do. And we need prevention and early intervention. And when we're talking about antisocial behaviour, what we need to do to crack down on that is we need to start working with the children of the dysfunctional families, because we know they're going to be a problem 15, 20 years from now. And if we can change those children and show them what it's like to be a positive citizen in a decent community, and we spend some money and time changing them and trying to educate them out of their family home lifestyle, that's how we change that. And dysfunctional families in our neighbourhoods, what we need is a zero tolerance approach. So if those families are causing litter outside their house, well, we need the housing and the council knocking on their door saying, this isn't good enough, and you're going to sweep it up, and you're going to sweep it up now. And if you don't, it's going to be a strike against your tenancy. And if we get 2 or 3 strikes against your tenancy, we're going to evict you. And that doesn't do anything for that family, so I agree with that. But other families in the neighbourhood all go, oh, we need to start doing as we're told. We need to start being better neighbours, because look what happened to the Smith family. They were evicted, and I don't want to be evicted. And we're too soft on people who cause antisocial behaviour. We've got to a state in our country now where we treat offenders as if they're also victims, and they're not victims. They're the problem, and we need to solve that problem.
It is. I mean, I do totally agree with early intervention and helping people right from the start when there's issues. But like you say, I know you might have problems, but it doesn't mean you should be able to cause problems for other people. There does need to be action taken to prevent it, but also, to make remedial work, like you said. If they make a mess, they clean it up. And I think it goes on too long, and then I think things that accelerate and access a bit and cause neighbourhood problems. They need to be dealt with right at the beginning.
It does. And like I said, and that sends a message out to the rest of the community that we won't tolerate this. So you better behave as well. And if you're a law-abiding, positive member of society, in these situations, you're treated the worse. It's as if your life doesn't matter. And it's as if you're better off being a criminal because, at least you'll get some services. At least, you'll be looked after. But when you're a law-abiding, positive member of society, we forget about you and we ignore you even when you need help because your neighbours are driving you crazy.
I do hear that a lot, that sort of victims feel that they're not getting a fair deal a lot of the time. And I do sometimes see action not being taken about known people who are causing problems and are committing crimes. I mean, I think it's hard. You do need to start with children. I think start early on with families that are having issues.
It does. And that's what the Sure Start centres were about working with mums with their children between 0 and 3 years old. And we need a lot more of that because by the time you get to, if you ever meet a primary school teacher, well, you'll know it also about being a librarian, but primary school teachers can tell you in their class who's going to be a criminal, who's going to be a single mum, who's going to be a danger to society, who's going to do amazing and be successful. And primary school teachers know that just by their interactions with their kids. This isn't rocket science. We all know who the troubled kids are, who the troubled families are in our society, in our communities, and we need to do better at helping them and putting them back on the right path. Not because we feel sorry for them, but because if we can fix them, we improve the community for everybody.
Definitely. I mean, the Sure Start centres, I did work in and quite around a few of them, and I think they were great. But there was government funding that was cut, so there was issues around that. But they do seem to be working now, starting with the family hubs, so they do seem to be funding them and starting up again. And I think, like I say, I worked a lot with younger families and the families that were having issues. And I do think if you get in there earlier, you stop it getting to a more serious point. They do need support.
But what the governments do is when they need to save some money, it's the early intervention they cut first. So we had Sure Starts, it disappeared for 8 years, now they're coming back. So all the good work that was done is now all ended. We're back to square one again, and now we're starting them back up again. Governments are never planning for the long term, it's always short-termism. And we need a long-term 30, 40-year plan on how we're going to improve some of these families who are a generational problem for everybody.
Yeah, that's why I do try and put on, family events, lots of things for children, because it's great if we can all go off to, I don't know, pay 20, 30 pound for a ticket each. But I'm doing it's a breakfast with Santa tomorrow, a free one, because I think it's nice if people in the neighbourhood can just come locally, cost nothing, and just have just as nice a time. Like you said, not everybody can afford tickets to theme parks and everywhere over Christmas.
Yeah, and if we want to improve our communities, it's about improving the family. We need families to be stronger. We need families to join together more. We need families helping each other out. And then after family, communities are important. The state should always be last resort, but we seem to be turning to the state now to solve our problems as the first resort. Family should be the first resort because they always want the best for you. The state doesn't care about you. You're a number. Your families love you and your families want the best for you. That's why we need stronger families.
Yeah, totally agree with that, Nick, too.
So, Maureen, thank you much for coming on my little podcast. Good luck we don't know when the general election is, but I advise everybody to check you out. I'll be promoting you when the general election's announced. I want you to win against Lisa and Andy in Wigan. So everybody, if you live in Wigan, this is a lady you need to be checking out and voting for. And if that election that election will be next year. It has to be next year, spring or autumn sometime. We just don't know. And how can people keep in contact with you or check you out?
If they just look up Maureen O'Byrne Independent, type it in on Facebook, they can contact me there. All my contact details are there. I have got a friend, she is standing in the next ward to me as an independent this May, and there's another independent going to be standing in Ince ward. So if he gets in, we'll have 2 in Ince then. Sort of, I'm hoping gradually to get more independents across the borough, really.
Fantastic.
They seem to be, people seem very keen. I've had a lot of good feedback. You try your best for people, and that's all you can do. But good luck to you too. So I'll be promoting you as well, Nick, telling people to vote for you, because I don't think people realise. They just think things are just the same. But I think you really do need to be. I'll promote you, you promote me, word of mouth, everything like that, get known, and then hopefully people have already told me they're going to vote for you anyway.
Oh, fantastic. Because that's the hardest thing for an independent. That's the hardest thing for an independent, is to get their voice out there, to get their profile known. Because unless you've got a big machine and loads of money behind you, no one's ever heard of you. But it's easier now with social media. It's not perfect, but it's easier now because we have social media.
Oh, it is.
And I heard about you before I ever met you. When I first decided 6 months ago I was standing, I had several people contact me saying, you need to check out Maureen O'Byrne. And that's when I did. I Googled and had a look, but people were saying she's fantastic. You need to check her out. So even people I knew had already heard of you. You'd already won, but people were saying that you're doing a really, really good job. So keep up the good
Really,
work.
I feel like I'm just doing what I should be doing, really. Just listening to people, reporting their issues, trying to help them with with everything. And I think it is all about listening, not just saying, well, this is what the Labour Party does, this is what the Conservative Party does, this is what I will do. I will try and help you. And I think we definitely need more of that. No, ordinary people who live in the communities, who identify with the communities they live in and know what their issues are.
Excellent. Well, next year, when I become mayor and you become an MP, let's work closely together to improve Wigan and Greater Manchester.
Oh, definitely. And why shouldn't it happen, really? All it takes is
Yeah,
a few people to vote differently and a few more to come out and vote.
exactly.
Reach the non-voters.
Yeah, exactly. Good luck in your future campaigns, and I will speak to you very soon.
Good luck to you, Nick. Nice speaking anyway.
That's
Yeah,
great.
take
Thank you.
care. Bye.
If you like that video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and comment. And if you like what I'm saying about running for Mayor of Greater Manchester, then stick around. Tell your family, tell your friends. The only way I'm going to have a chance of winning is a grassroots movement. So be part of that movement and hit that bell. Thanks.